Mad Alliance, and anyone watching, how's life going for you? It's Joe, aka Mad Joe of C. Welcome to the video. This is going to be my review for Boku No Hero Academia, Season 4, Episode 11. Let's get it. Kick back, chillax, and enjoy the review. Mad Smash! Holy frick! This episode was freaking hype! One of my favorite episodes of the show. Easily. It's gotta be in top 5. Let's freaking talk about this. It begins with Overhaul saying that they've succeeded in making the drug that can annihilate quirks, and he shows off the finished product. They only have 5 bullets though, and those alone took a month to make since they're having to do it themselves in run-down facilities. They can't mass produce them yet because they still don't have the resources or money to fund it, but now with All for One gone, the Hisaki can move around more freely, so they plan to find another place to establish as their base to continue making the drug. Now that All for One and even All Might are inactive, the whole city has pretty much become free real estate for tons of criminals and different villain groups. Then it goes back a few days in the past, where Twice and Crazy Girl are in a meeting with the Hisaki, where Overhaul is asking them to tell him how their quirks work. He says telling him the details of their quirks will make it easier for him to work with them and give them instructions. But that's obviously some BS, and he most likely wants to know so that he'll have an advantage over them if they step out of line in any way. Overhaul asks them again what their quirks are, and they unwillingly completely explain them in full detail. At first I thought Overhaul somehow got them to confess, but I wasn't paying attention to the guy standing behind him. The guy also asks them if Tamura has said anything about a betrayal, and I'm surprised that they said no, because last episode he clearly told both of them that he wants to conquer them. I'm guessing with enough willpower it's maybe possible to resist the quirk. Overhaul doesn't trust them roaming around doing whatever they want and tells them to please stay underground. Or like Twice says, he basically puts them under house arrest. Overhaul leaves, and then the midget guy says something interesting. He says they will take control over society again, making the boss's desire come true. I know the Yakuza have been a criminal organization, but they weren't completely bad. They were just a group of people with the same beliefs, trying to survive in the world. And as stated before, the boss valued chivalry, and I don't think it was his desire for Overhaul to turn it into a villain group. Like I've said before though, I could be wrong about that, and there might be some things I don't know yet. The next scene is a continuation of where the end of the last episode left off, and everyone is about to literally be crushed. Now, of course, I'm not rooting for the villains, but I gotta admit it was smart what Twice and Crazy Girl decided to do to get out of their predicament. They have quirks, but their quirks don't give them any enhanced physical power or strength, but some of the heroes' quirks give them just that. So they just troll the Mimic guy, making him very angry, and leave it to the heroes to stop him. Deku is able to locate where the voice is coming from, and I really liked the Deku Eraserhead Sir Night-Eye tag teaming that happened. Deku uses his full cowling to jump up and break the wall that Mimic guy is behind and expose him. Eraserhead looks at him to stop him from being able to use his quirk, and then Night-Eye throws one of his seals at him to knock him out. While all of that was happening, Twice and Crazy Girl had just dipped out of there saying, "Screw you, Yakuza, I'm gonna do what I want to do." They are crazy, but this scene shows that they're also pretty smart. The heroes see the 2 members of the League of Villains and realize they were used, but it honestly doesn't really matter since it put an end to Mimic Guy being a huge obstacle in their way the past few episodes. What happens from this point on until the very end of the episode is absolutely top tier. Mirio finally gets to Overhaul, confronts him, and tells him he's there to save Eri. Overhaul starts to break down Mirio mentally, and I'm not saying I enjoyed him doing that, but I did really like the way he made Mirio think on his past actions when him and Deku had encountered Overhaul and Eri the first time in the alley. I also like that we got to see 2 more members of the 8 Bullets in this scene and them working together to stump and break down Mirio even more. It was here when I realized that this is the guy who made Twice and Crazy Girl explain their quirks earlier, since he was on his own in this scene and made Mirio explain his quirk too. His quirk lets him force people to tell the truth, and the other guy, I think we can all agree his quirk could just be called drunk, and what it does is make people slightly intoxicated. The confession guy then has this moment where he glorifies Overhaul's ambitions, and the reason I wanted to mention it is because it's another example of where the different members' headspace is regarding Overhaul. From what I've seen so far, it seems like the 8 Bullets that were recruited by Overhaul himself are for sure loyal to him and will stop anyone who gets in his way. Either they actually are loyal or have maybe been brainwashed in a way, which could be the case because we've already seen that Overhaul is a good manipulator and persuader. The 2 attack Mirio, but once he regains his focus, he easily takes down both of them with his ultimate move. He then just barely strikes Overhaul, and let me talk for a minute about how freaking well Mirio executed getting Eri out of that guy's hands. We've seen flashbacks of young Mirio a few episodes back that showed his quirk is one that would take a lot of training and time to master. He uses his quirk here with great precision and timing. His foot passes through Eri, and as soon as the top of it is through her, he hardens it to kick the guy holding her, while the front of his foot is still passing through her. It's a small moment, but one that I really appreciated and thought was amazing. I also want to talk about this very next scene because of how wholesome Eri is here. The fact that in the alley she chose to return to Overhaul to be used, just so that he wouldn't hurt Mirio and Deku, then in this scene doesn't want Mirio to be there for the same reason, shows that she is more than kind. This girl is far more concerned about other people than herself. Like seriously, her wholesome level is definitely 100%. Overhaul then says some very cruel things to her that no child should have said about them, and it's here where he reveals to Mirio that Eri is not his daughter. I knew this from the moment he said she was. I knew he was BSing about that, and I am honestly surprised that the heroes didn't think that and actually believed him. Now that Mirio has gotten this far, and has Eri, this causes Overhaul to attack, and we finally get to see him really using his quirk in a full-on fight. It's shown that he can restore things, but he can restore it into whatever shape he wants instead of just restoring it back to its original form. That's definitely a quirk that can be used greatly for defense and offense in a fight, which is exactly how Overhaul uses it in this fight. I love the sneaky maneuver Mirio does to get him close to Overhaul to fight him. Using his cape to make the guy shooting miss his shots, and then using the cape as a distraction while he's passing through the floor was very clever. See, heroes having capes doesn't always end with them being sucked through a fan or jet engine. Mirio lands a few hits on Overhaul, and then it cuts to a time in the past with the young Chisaki, and we get some very much needed information. The boss isn't his biological father. He just found him and took him in, but also raised him throughout his life. So at this point, he pretty much is his father. The things said in the conversation they have here is exactly what I've been wanting and makes things more clear for me. So basically, different crime gangs are being stopped by law enforcement, and probably pro-heroes too, and Chisaki knows that the Yakuza will eventually be stopped as well. He has a plan to prevent that from happening, but the boss is against it, saying it would be the end of his chivalry. See, I knew the boss would not be okay with what Overhaul is turning the Yakuza into. Chisaki and the boss both don't want the Yakuza to end up being disbanded like the other gangs. The difference between them though is that Chisaki is willing to do anything to prevent it. The boss wants to deal with the situation by using chivalry because he still has decent morals, despite being the head of a criminal organization. No one's going to follow a demon with no heart, is what the boss said, and that's what's kind of happening. The original Yakuza members are still loyal to the boss. They don't want to follow Overhaul, and like some of them said, the only reason they haven't left is because he would kill them if they did. You know what I call someone like that? I call them a demon with no heart. Now that the boss is bedridden, Overhaul is doing things his way, to fulfill his father's desires, but I think that doing things his way caused him to lose his way. Now it seems as if he's really just trying to fulfill his own ambitions and is using him trying to fulfill his father's desires as a cover. One more thing I want to mention about this scene is how Chisaki is wearing a mask, even here. So obviously he has a huge problem with any type of filth, and that's been shown multiple times already in this season. I wonder why that is. It then cuts back to the present and Overhaul throws the bullets to Confession Guy to use on Mirio. He only has one though, and he decides to shoot it at Eri so that Mirio will take the hit for her. I like how he's being a hero with a smile in this moment, just like All Might. I also like the sequence of flashback shots that shows Mirio has wanted to save people since he was a kid. He was determined to do his best to become a hero, despite the amount of effort he would have to put into mastering his quirk. It's ironic that while protecting Eri, Mirio got hit with the drug that she was used to create. Even though he was hit, he's not down and continues to fight Overhaul. Now yes, this moment was hype, but to be honest, it was also a bit disappointing for me. A good portion of this fight was animated, like when Overhaul was using his quirk to make the spikes, but whenever it showed Mirio fighting, for the most part, it was just jump cut animations. I wasn't too bothered about the way this fight was animated until the very end, where I had noticed it wasn't really even animated at all. It was literally just a bunch of stills of parts of the fight that would have looked so cool to have seen animated in a fast pace. This is episode 11, and yeah, there have been other big fights this season with Red Riot and Sun Eater, but other than that, there haven't been a lot of big fights. And the fights that Red Riot and Sun Eater did have overall definitely had more animation than Mirio's fight. Mirio vs. Overhaul is arguably the biggest fight in the season so far, and I feel like the studio should have went all out in animating this fight, especially with it being only one of the few big fights so far. Those who know me and my history with this show know that I highly praise it and that is my favorite anime, but it seems like this when I have to talk about things in the show that were not as good as I think they could have been. I hate speaking in any type of negative way about Boku No Hero Academia, but this scene was just something that stuck out to me like a sore thumb, and I wanted to give my honest thoughts about it. It didn't totally ruin the fight for me, it was just underwhelming and left me feeling that more effort could have been put into it. The very last moment was great though when Mirio took the spike to the gut and it showing him as a kid running towards the light, so I mean, at least the ending was hype. Final thoughts before I wrap up this review. All my final thoughts are on Mirio. First, him freaking losing his quirk. That freaking sucks because that was one of the 100% completed drugs that completely annihilates the quirk. Your quirk doesn't come back after a few minutes. So, like, Mirio, power, his quirk is gone. Jeez, that sucks. I mean, of course, like, he could still fight, but his quirk is gone. That really sucks. And just when he was... Well, I mean, this doesn't change anything about how much I like him. After this episode, Mirio's one of, if not my favorite character in Boku no Hero. I know, but what about Deku? What about All Might? Well, Mirio in this one episode showed just how amazing he is. Like, see, my favorite characters are Deku and All Might, but Mirio is basically Deku and All Might rolled into one. My two favorite characters rolled into one. Not power-wise, but just like ideal-wise and thought-wise, personality-wise. He's Deku and All Might, my two favorite characters combined pretty much. And this episode really showed that, and I like him. I definitely like Mirio a lot more than I did. I never hated him. I never didn't like him. I always liked him. It isn't like it was up there. But now, after this episode, he's up there with Deku and All Might, if not past that. Like, he might be my favorite character in the show. Look, I know this is Deku's story about him becoming the next greatest hero, but Sir Night Eye's right. Mirio fits the next greatest hero role. He fits the next successor to All Might role. He fits that just as much as Deku, if not a bit more than Deku, to be honest. If this episode showed anything, this episode showed what Mirio's willing to do. He goes out there, he saves people with a smile on his face, doesn't think twice, doesn't, get, too emotional or in the moment. He goes out there and does what he's got to do. He fits that. Sir Night Eye's right. He fits that next successor role. I'm not going to say more than Deku, but I'm not going to say less than Deku either. I'm just saying, it's going to take, Deku's going to have to do something big for him to become my favorite again, because I think right now Mirio is my favorite character in the show. I think so. More than Deku and All Might. So, yeah, Deku's gonna have to do something big to show me that he also, of course he's shown stuff that shows that he fits, he can be the next successor, but this Mirio in this episode, guys, he's showed that he's got it all. So, Deku's gonna have to do something big to change my mind. But right now, at this very moment, I'm gonna say Mirio's maybe my favorite character. I don't want to fully say it. Maybe. I'll say he's tied right now. Mirio, Deku, and All Might is a three-way tie. So Deku's gonna have to do something drastic. So, yeah. That's about it for my final thoughts. I definitely wanted to just speak, my face with the camera to you guys about Mirio a bit, just because this episode proved that he's got it all. He's got everything going for him. That about wraps up this review. I hope you all enjoyed. Those of you who are watching my review only video on YouTube, I'm sure you saw some small clips of my reaction to the Mirio versus Overhaul fight. If you want to see my full reaction to the entire episode, then links for my Patreon will be down below in the description box and in a pinned comment on this video. And you could go to my Patreon, pledge, and you'll get to my full reaction to entire episodes of Boku No Hero Academia and any other shows that I watch. Of course, it's completely optional, nothing mandatory, but I would appreciate it. Anyone who does pledge and get those full reactions to entire episodes, because it does help me out. And there are some people helping me out now who I want to give a shout out to in this video. Hall's House, Jeff Lewis, and Zephos are 3 patrons on my Patreon who are pledged to my one and only tier. And like I said, that tier gives them full access to full reactions from me for entire episodes of any shows that I watch. So I thank the 3 of you for supporting me, and those of you who are watching my review on YouTube are also supporting me. Anyone who's watching my videos, that means you're supporting me. So I thank you all for the support. Let me know what you thought of the episode and of my video down below in the comment section. Links for all my social media and my Patreon will be down below in the description box. Smash the like button. Share this video with anyone who you feel would enjoy. If you are new around here and you like what you see, tap the subscribe button to join the Mad Alliance on our journey to 100,000 subscribers. And ding dong the notification bells to be notified when I upload a new video. It's Joe, aka Mad Joe Up C. I hope you all have a marvelous day. Mad out. And that's the video. Mad. Strong. Together.